Hi everyone, Aidan here with eTrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Thule T2 Pro XTR 4-bike rack and seeing how it fits on the back of this 2022 Ford Maverick. Now this is going to be a platform style bike rack capable of carrying up to 4 bikes. It's going to be a pretty nice platform style rack too. It's going to hold the bike by the front tire and the back wheel with a strap. The front tire is held in by a wheel hook, so it makes zero frame contact, making this a good option for carbon frame bikes and alternative frame bikes. Now with this weight capacity, it's going to be able to support 160 pounds total. So you can mix and match that however you want. You got 4 40-pound bikes, that'll work just fine. You got some e-bikes that you want to load up on the inner cradles and some lighter bikes that you want to load up on the outside, that'll work too. And if you wanted to, if you only need to carry 2 bikes, you could remove this 2-bike add-on just by undoing a couple of bolts here and getting it put back together with the handle mechanism. And then the inner 2 cradles can support up to 60 pounds each, so good for e-bikes. Now, I see this being used pretty well for mountain bikes or just some road bikes, really just you and some friends, maybe some family. And like many other platform racks in this class, it does have the ability to tilt away with bikes loaded. Now, if you've got this fully loaded with 4 bikes and you've maxed out the weight capacity, be careful, because it's going to be a lot of weight. But they do make it a little bit easier to operate because the handle to release it is located at the very back here. So you just lift up a little bit on the rack, squeeze that handle, and lower it down. It won't make contact with the ground, which is good. Some vehicles, depending on where the hitch sits, it will make contact with the ground and crush your hand. Not great, but here it doesn't. And it does give you enough room to partially open your tailgate. If you move the tailgate support on your Maverick to the upper stud, then you're not going to have any sort of contact, but you won't be able to fully open it laying flat. You'll see that it does make contact almost at the fully extended position right here on the part that tilts. Luckily, that part is only plastic and it's not really making contact with much paint aside from right here by our handle. So if you don't mind the contact of plastic touching your paint, then you'll be fine. Otherwise, just move that support up to the stud and don't worry about it. The good thing also with the Maverick is that it sits pretty low down and getting things out of the back is very easy, even if you can't open that tailgate up. And then when you're done, you can just lift it back into place. That handle will click in, locked in, and you're ready to go. Each of these arms does have an integrated cable lock on it that'll lock back to itself right here. So you've got that security mechanism built in, and we can get the bike removed. We'll start off with the back wheel strap. That's going to be our secondary point of contact. Press in that button and pull out the ratcheting strap. And then with one hand on the bike, you can squeeze the trigger right here on the hook, push up and out. Now for this inner one, I think it's easier to just step in between the tailgate and the bike rack. There's plenty of room to do so. And then just walk it out. Now I'll set this to the side real quick, and then we can take a closer look at the rack itself. One thing I do want to point out right now though is that front wheel cradle. That's going to have a couple of different grooves in it for both road bike tires, mountain bike tires, and fat tire bikes. Now the straps don't come long enough to accommodate a fat tire bike right out of the gate for that rear wheel, but the cradles are. So if you've got those multiple tire sizes and you choose to upgrade those straps later on, you can support a wide range of tire sizes and trust that they'll be well cradled. That back cradle does also slide back and forth to accommodate for different wheelbases, and the whole trays can even be shifted side to side. So we've got support for different wheelbases, but also support for mix and matching our bikes and making sure that everything fits with each other, their handlebars and their seats. And so for some measurements, one thing to consider here is that it's a very long bike rack. So coming out from the bumper on our Maverick to the end of the rack, it's going to be sticking out 60 inches or 5 feet. That's quite a bit. The Maverick really does a great job at being a small, easy to drive compact truck, and this adds a lot of length to it. So it's something to keep in mind when you're driving around. In some cases, I might just consider a tailgate pad so you're not adding near as much length. At the back end, Our ground clearance is going to be 27 inches, which is pretty good. The bike rack does slope up a little bit and there's a rise in the shank. And when we're done using it, if we want to leave it in the hitch, use that handle to fold it upright. It's a pretty heavy bike rack. Empty, it's almost 100 pounds, so you will have to give a little bit of lift when you're doing that. And in this state, it still sticks out 17 inches. So it does take up a little bit of room. And it does other things like block your license plate a little bit down at the bottom there. You should be able to see it most of the way, but when bikes are loaded, it's probably not going to be visible. It blocks your backup camera no matter what state it's in, because that mast comes into contact or just in line with that center backup camera. Our taillights on the side are slightly obstructed. I don't think we'll have too much issue with that. Really, with bikes loaded, you'll probably see that a little bit more. And in this folded state, we are blocking our back window a fair bit because it sits so tall relative to the tailgate. Now on the bottom of the rack, there are wheels here. So when we have it out of the hitch, we can wheel it around for easier transport. And down underneath the wheels is a hand knob. That's going to be the tool-free method of tightening this in the hitch, making sure that there's no shake or play in that 2" by 2" receiver tube. And it's lockable, so you can trust that no one's going to mess with it when you're not around. It'll just free spin if it's locked. And overall, I think the T2 Pro is a nice bike rack. Maybe not the best option for the Maverick, just because of the tailgate clearance and things like that, and it is just quite large. So if you've got the option for a tailgate pad, that's what I'd go for personally, but I do think for a 4-bike platform rack, it is a pretty solid option. Thanks for watching.